quiet decision is unfolding in Southeast Asia, and most of the world isn't paying attention yet. But if it goes through, it could permanently alter who controls the skies. Malaysia is seriously evaluating an aircraft that many Western analysts still dismiss outright. A jet built not in Seattle or Toulouse, but in Shanghai. And while it might sound like a routine fleet discussion, this moment carries far bigger consequences. Because if Malaysia opens the door, even slightly, the global aviation duopoly may never fully recover. For decades, the idea of China producing a commercial jet capable of competing with Airbus or Boeing was treated as fantasy. Too complex, too risky, too dependent on Western technology. But that narrative has begun to crack. China's commercial aviation ambitions didn't disappear. They matured quietly. And now, with the C919 flying paying passengers inside China, that long-dismissed vision is starting to look uncomfortably real. What makes this moment so unsettling for the industry isn't just the aircraft itself. It's where the next test is happening. Not inside China's protected domestic market, but in Southeast Asia, specifically Malaysia. And once an aircraft leaves home turf, the rules change completely. Reputation matters. Risk tolerance matters. And the outcome can reshape how the entire world views a new manufacturer. Malaysia's growing interest in the C919 isn't coming out of nowhere. It's being driven by pressure, frustration, and a supply crisis that refuses to ease. Airbus and Boeing are buried under record backlogs. Narrow-body jets, the workhorses of regional travel, are being delayed year after year. Delivery slots that once took 3 or 4 years are now stretching beyond a decade. For airlines trying to grow in Asia's fastest recovering travel market, waiting isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Low-cost carriers feel this pressure more than anyone. Their margins are thin, competition is brutal, and growth is survival. That's why airlines like AirAsia are being forced to rethink loyalties they once considered unbreakable. For years, Airbus was the backbone of its fleet. But with the 320neo deliveries drifting into the early 2030s, patience is no longer a strategy. It's a liability. And for newer players like Air Borneo, the stakes are even higher. A startup airline doesn't have the luxury of waiting years just to begin operations. Routes, crews, marketing. Everything depends on aircraft arriving on time. If planes don't show up, the airline doesn't exist. In that context, evaluating an unfamiliar aircraft stops being reckless and starts becoming rational. This is where China's manufacturer steps in. COMAC doesn't claim to build the most advanced jet in the world. Its pitch is simpler and far more disruptive. The aircraft is good enough. It's available sooner, and it costs less. In an industry choking on delays, that message is powerful. The C919 was designed to compete directly with the Airbus A320 and Boeing 737. It seats roughly the same number of passengers, flies similar distances, and fits neatly into regional route structures across Southeast Asia. On paper, nothing about it screams revolution, but pricing does. Lower production costs and state backing allow the aircraft to be offered at a price Western manufacturers can't easily match. And when acquisition costs drop, airlines gain breathing room, more routes, more frequencies, more flexibility to fight competitors. For low-cost carriers, this isn't just appealing, it's strategic leverage. Saving even a small amount per aircraft can shift the balance in a market where profits are measured in fractions. And COMAC adds another advantage. Airbus and Boeing can't promise right now delivery speed. While Western manufacturers struggle with parts shortages and certification bottlenecks, China is quietly signaling that aircraft can be delivered years earlier. There's another detail that makes Southeast Asia especially attractive as a testing ground. Most flights in the region are under 4 hours. That means aircraft don't immediately need European or American certification to be useful. As long as local regulators approve them, jets can fly domestic and regional routes without ever touching EU or US airspace. COMAC understands this well, and it's betting that good enough, delivered fast and affordable, is the exact formula this region needs. But economics alone don't explain Malaysia's interest. There's a political layer that can't be ignored. Malaysia and China have been steadily strengthening ties across trade, infrastructure, and tourism. A recent high-level visit resulted in public support for Malaysian carriers operating Chinese-built aircraft. This wasn't vague diplomacy. It was a direct signal, and in aviation, political signals matter. Tourism reinforces the alignment. A mutual visa-free policy has triggered a surge in travel between the two countries. Weekly flights are approaching for digits. Demand is rising faster than fleets can expand. In that environment, operating Chinese aircraft isn't just operationally convenient. It's symbolically aligned with a broader partnership. Still, none of this removes the risks, and they're substantial. The biggest is certification. The C919 is currently approved only for operations inside China. European and American regulators are still evaluating it, and official timelines suggest certification could take years. Without that approval, airlines can't fly the aircraft to long-haul markets. For regionally focused carriers, this might be acceptable. For airlines with global ambitions, it's a hard ceiling. Then there's the support ecosystem. Airbus and Boeing spent decades building global maintenance networks. Spare parts are available almost everywhere. Engineers are trained worldwide. When something breaks, aircraft are back in service quickly. COMAC doesn't have that yet. Airlines considering the C919 have to ask uncomfortable questions. If a part fails, how fast can it be replaced? If a technical issue arises, will trained specialists be available locally? In aviation, one grounded aircraft can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per day. Those costs can erase savings quickly. Fleet integration adds another layer of complexity. Introducing a third manufacturer isn't like adding another plane. Pilots need new certifications. Engineers need retraining. Documentation, logistics, and operational procedures all change. Every change adds cost and risk. For large airlines, it's like rewriting their operational DNA. So why keep pushing forward? Because the reward could be enormous. Even limited adoption changes the game. And industry leaders are starting to admit it. Executives at Airbus have openly suggested the duopoly era may be ending, replaced by a future where three major players compete. The idea once laughed off is now being discussed seriously in boardrooms. Yet skepticism remains, especially around the engine. The C919 currently uses the LEAP-1C, developed with Western partners. While it shares a name with engines on the A320neo and 737 MAX, reports from industry insiders suggest the version supplied to China may lack some advanced features. These claims remain unverified, but the concern persists. Engines are the heart of an aircraft. Trust takes millions of flight hours to earn. This vulnerability exposed a deeper problem. Dependence, export restrictions nearly halted production more than once. And that was the wake-up call. China decided it could no longer rely on external suppliers for such a critical component. That decision led to the development of an indigenous engine designed to power future aircraft and eliminate geopolitical risk altogether. The CJ119 isn't just an engineering project, it's a declaration, a statement that China intends to control every layer of its civil aviation ecosystem. Testing is ongoing. Certification is still ahead. Reliability must be proven, but the direction is clear. If successful, it removes one of the last major barriers preventing COMAC from competing globally. As this unfolds, Southeast Asia has begun sending signals of its own. Brunei recently became the first ASEAN nation to recognize China's aircraft certification system. On its own, it seems minor, but precedents matter. If others follow, a certification corridor could emerge across the region. Even without immediate purchases, the presence of an alternative pressures prices, delivery terms, and after-sales strategies across the industry. That's why Malaysia's decision matters so much. It's not about replacing Airbus or Boeing overnight. It's about whether the door opens at all. Once it does, competition changes permanently. Prices shift. Timelines adjust. Power rebalances. The C919 doesn't need to dominate to succeed. It only needs to exist, operate, and prove it can survive outside China. And if Malaysia becomes the first to take that step, history may look back on this moment not as a gamble, but as the beginning of a new aviation era, one where the skies are no longer controlled by just two names. A dramatic shift may soon reshape Asia's aviation landscape, and it all starts with Malaysia's upcoming aircraft decision. For the first time, Malaysia is seriously evaluating China's COMAC C919. A jet still met with deep skepticism in the West, yet this moment marks something far more significant. A clear signal that the industry's long-standing balance of power is shifting, and COMAC may be stepping forward as a legitimate third competitor. But here's the real problem. Why is Malaysia daring enough to break that long-standing order? Why would the country choose COMAC over long-established proven aircraft? Let's find out. For years, the idea of China building a commercial aircraft capable of competing on the global stage was seen as little more than a distant dream and ambition far beyond reality. But that perception is changing faster than many analysts can keep up.